Please take your seats. Do we have any comments from the from citizens, from the public? Anybody like to speak? Nothing on there? We'll open it up at the end too, in case if anybody wants for around the room. Mr. Beck, would you give us an update on substation?
Substation.
Natalia,
well, we had the meeting over there with them that morning. I forget what day it was. And basically we went over with them what we discussed here, and we talked to them about what we need to do first, which is line locates and things of that nature. Permits, they said it's not a problem. So I guess the only new thing that we came up with, other than what we discussed over here, was the fact that they were going to do line locates. And according to someone over there, they've got flags and stuff up marking water, gas, and sewer and things like that. So
they're already in place?
I'm sorry?
811 request.
They are in place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the latest update.
Okay.
They're sitting over there waiting.
Okay.
And kind of, we are too. We're ready for the gun to go off so we can start the race.
So Jason, you did...
So I did the 811 request. We met with the city on March 17th, 9. We did the 811 request. They went out, they located all the lines for the property. The next step is back to the discussion we were having about RFQs, architects, and engineers. Because it's a government building open to the public, paid for by government funds, we have to have it either certified by an architect or structural engineer.
The parsing of the words, and this is, so everybody knows, we received we worked with the city of Natalia's contract engineer, and they provided us a proposal for services for to $200,000, roughly $200,000, to this would not be the build. This is just the design portion or the engineer certification of it.
$200,000.
That's you're feeling the same thing as I did. That's for us to tell. That's for them to tell us, hey, again, this is where this plumbing line needs to go, and this is where this drywall. This is how thick the drywall needs to be here, and this is this and this is that. So, I think that was my comment, personal comment earlier, which was this is the bureaucracy, self-licking ice cream cone that's continuing to perpetuate itself. And if I think that we owe it to our constituency to really get down in the weeds on this one and figure out what exactly is that going to do for us, and what exactly do we need. So when you say, Jason, when you say that it's for structural engineering, the common tube steel buildings or whatever these pre-engineered buildings such as this one is already, they come with structural engineering.
I made that same argument to the board previously, and this is the route that I was pushed to explore.
Okay.
So
there was no cost in this other than your time, so it is telling that it's a good thing that we did this, I think.
My job is to provide you the information.
Yes, sir.
To make the decision.
And we very much appreciate that. So thank you.
So there is a copy of the agreement in your packet. It's from Anubis Engineering, and that also includes the scope of work outline that would be required for any RFP. So before we can go out for a builder, we have to determine the scope of work, which is standard practice in procurement, but that's what the general contractors look for, to say how many feet of electric wire, how many outlets, how many 2x4s, whatever they need to determine the price of the project, right? So even if we found another route other than an architect or engineer, we still have to determine that scope of work. Somebody does. And none of us are certified to do that. It needs to be a professional. Nothing against any one of us. We all build our own house on our own farms, but we are not licensed contractors.
Do you have comments?
I hate to delay this project. I mean, I'm not looking for delay, but until we figure out what we're gonna do with this, we do have to have a drawing. We've got to have some kind of specification so that we can get apples to apples bids on the building and the scope of work, or whatever you want to call it, what work has to be done on the building. It's, I knew when we were talking about anything that's attached to a government entity.
The good thing is we already have an approved plan, right? You guys have already approved the floor
Right.
plan and the design, and that's most of the work.
And so the floor plan that we're talking about, that yes, is probably by their specs is engineered and stamped, but it doesn't have outlets, wiring, plumbing, all of that other stuff. It's got the building costs. The building was...
The shell.
Yeah, the shell is stamped. Nothing in it is stamped by the state or whoever.
What were you guys finding as you were going down the road before? Or were you?
We were finding that trying to get an architect was impossible. It's too small a project, too far away.
Okay.
I mean, we could solicit other people to give us a quote without getting an official bid and maybe find out if this is in the ballpark. I don't know. I didn't expect it to be 50, what we predict, the building's 400,000. That's 50% of the cost.
No, I
figured it'd be like 10% of the cost of the building is what they would charge us to do it.
I think
But I'm way off board.
realistically, if you budgeted a build of 250, you're looking at 450 with this. I mean,
yeah, and that's exactly the point, so.
That's a lot of money, in my opinion,
But-
but I don't know any loopholes. I'm just gonna put it out there. If there are loopholes, sure, maybe.
I'm not talking about loopholes, it's just,
It's like the tax code, right?
is there's a, what's the requirement say? And can we meet the requirement without,
And again,
getting funneled through this?
I'm the only one that has been doing some of this, and the only thing I keep coming back to is until you have an architect or an engineer, nothing happens. And I feel the same frustration because I'm like,
Pat, you got something else?
Sir?
Most architects and engineers have a standard, Patrick mentioned, at around 10%. Typically, depending upon, you have the right to negotiate, but you can get architectural and engineering plans, specifications for as low as 6% of the project. So they really, I mean, I don't know where you want to get your information, but I do know I've done this for many years and with the government, and that standard has been between 6 and 8% of the project total.
Right.
This is just one person we've contacted. I think
Right.
I think we need more input from different architects.
Okay.
Engineers, what are you gonna call it?
that would be an RFQ.
Yes.
And again, I wasn't here at the time, I just know what the previous board said.
What did you find? Did y'all get any guidance from Ken on what you had to do when you were looking for this point?
We discussed it with him just like at the conference and things of that nature. Was nothing that he could bill us for. Just trying to get an idea of where we needed to go.
Yeah.
Like I said, the main comeback was too small, too far.
I mean, the other thing is, my opinion would be you can do an RFQ, what's it gonna hurt? But it's going to push back your project timeline, however much longer that's gonna take.
Well, I mean, we can't move forward right now.
Right.
We got no drawings.
So if your plan was to have it up and running by fall, that's probably not gonna be realistic.
I'm curious, and I think this is going to be working through the legal requirements that are there is, can we, utilizing one of our local builders who can perform the same services and build the bid spec for it, and then would they be then legally allowed to bid on that contract as well? It's typical practice for smaller capital projects, but not for larger. I don't know about larger of this size. So if you're under, I don't know, 50 or so, you can go to we're getting coffee cups made, and we can go to a company and say, hey, give us a bid spec for coffee cups. They'll write up the bid spec. Here's the details. Here's all the, engineering portion of it in this case, and it's going to have this line around here. It's going to have these things written on there. It's going to be glazed in this way. And at that point, we can take that and send it out for the RFQ if that's what we chose to do. Or,
that you can send for RFP.
Yeah.
You had something similar to that in last month's meeting.
Which was the one from?
Arndo's LLC or something. It was like an 8-page packet. It was not the Pattison drawing.
Okay.
You just used his floor plan, his drawing.
Have we asked Pattison to put together a full?
Scope of work?
Yeah.
No.
What's that?
Yeah.
So, depending on the RFP, some RFPs say that if you do the scope of work, you cannot bid.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Some allow, some don't. But you set the rules for the RFP.
We do as the board?
Yes.
We're going to need to see, yeah.
The verbiage in the
The RFP, yes.
the RFQ determines the verbiage on the RFP.
Right. Because whoever you award the RFQ, architect or engineer, whatever firm you award it to, they should include in the plans the scope of work for the project, which goes out to the builders for RFP.
Yes.
But $200,000 to put that together is
Well, that's one quote.
a little bit insane, yeah. Okay. All right, so what do we have a recommended course of action for this then as looking at that, which is, quite frankly, I think it's just out of control, personally, but what other recommendations do we want to pursue? If we're going to do this separately, I really, one piece of it needs to be like looking into that law and saying, what exactly do we need to do? Can we do can we offer that to the person who specs it out, or to the company that specs it out?
Well, I'm sure there's firms that are builders with architecture people on board that would maybe include the price of the architecture in the cost of the building.
Right.
And again, most of what we were looking at for the metal buildings, all of those are pre-engineered.
They're all pre-engineered.
But it's not the interior contents that are engineered, which is what needs to be certified. The skeleton itself is fine, it's done deal.
Yeah, you don't have the specs on the concrete, the electrical, the
Correct.
plumbing,
And because
sewer,
it's a
all of
public
that.
building, we have to have that.
So my sense is that a builder would be able, if the building itself is structurally sound, the shell, that's the beginning. The second piece would be a builder, Steve Smith's construction company would be able to come in and say, okay, here's my plumber who's going to do this detail, and here's my electrician who's going to be able to put this together, and here's where we.
Sure. But from what I keep getting directed back to is all of that has to be like certified, stamped, however they.
Well, no, you'd have a licensed plumber, and a licensed electrician on
They're not
staff.
engineers.
Yeah, but you gotta have the plans certified.
Correct.
Right.
And then your plumbers, if they're certified plumbers, they follow the plans.
Correct.
Because we're going to have to go out for bid for the building portion of it too. And the only way to go out for bid is to have the plans that spec out all the stuff that needs to go, 1 3/4 pipe or whatever, 1/2 pipe and all that. My suggestion is that you give myself or Jason permission to call Ken. I put in a note, Ken Campbell, I put in a note to Clint Cook to see who built his buildings, and I'll talk to him about how to do it. And we come back to the next meeting with better information.
Please make, I don't disagree with you. I think that that's a great way to handle it. I want to make sure that we're tied in with Jerry, so we can then have that discussion with Natalia, still be delays, that piece of it, and you're involved, so it's a three-way conversation.
Well, nobody understands money and tax money more than they do.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would have a problem with us trying to utilize the tax money in an appropriate manner.
Who do you mean, Natalia?
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is, back to a conversation that we had at a previous meeting, was we do it all in steps instead of all at one time. Because your building is pre-engineered, you put the building up, and then you come in and you have somebody come in and do an RFP for plumbing, an RFP for electrical.
I think that we need to give him authorization to contact Ken on this to find out if that is actually something we could legally do, because we don't want to put our foot in it, right? And he needs to be able to talk to Ken about the contract issue also with Allegiance. The lease agreement we sent to him, he hasn't responded, and I know that's coming in a report, but we need to give him permission to talk about that.
Okay, so what's our approach? How do we handle this then? So you're saying you recommend that we just give Jason
I
the
make a
authority?
motion to give Jason the authority to contact our attorney, Ken Campbell, on the issues of how we can go about a building, what we need to do on the legal side, and also discuss with the lease agreement that we sent to him with Allegiance.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
So that takes care of 6B, so I don't know if you want to come back to it or just scratch it now.
You know what you're doing with that?
Yeah.
Giddy up.
Okay. This-
Okay, Mr. Bossier. So,
Good evening.
Evening.
Did you get my email?
Yes.
Awesome.
I did.
I didn't email it to everybody because I wasn't quite sure what you guys' policy and procedure was going to be on that type of issue. So I sent a copy to the president of the board. I believe I sent Jason copies.
they're the ones that are the most important for full-time folks. Feel free to CC all of us if you'd like.
Okay.
Because we're not having a discussion about what's going on, we're just giving us information.
Yeah, it's just informational. But
the recording, the records piece of it is in
okay.
that.
Awesome. So what I did based on last month's discussion, Mr. President, I summarized everything and cut out the whole 9-page report. So now you have everything in summary as you did on the past report on the last page. So you have the total average of calls. City of Devine 53 and 5 minutes was our total average time in response. City of Natalia was 25 with 5.4 minutes. And the unincorporated areas of VSD 4 was 8.8 minutes, and with 122 calls. That was recorded through our dispatch process. Then we made 2 calls into the city of Lytle. Those average times were about 9 minutes. So there was a total of 202 calls that came into the district through our dispatch. Of that 202, 11 were canceled before we ever made scenes. So on the secondary report that I provided to you shows what we call patient contact response. I believe that was 193 of the 202 calls that we received. So that's why you'll see that 193 between Devine and Natalia, because that's basically the whole district. City areas and surrounding non-incorporated areas. Did you have a chance to look at that? Okay. Well, it's just a summary. So I sent that to you guys to take a look at, see if that's what you wanted. if that would be sufficient. And then based on the conversation that Patrick requested, I put in a clinical data report. So basically it kind of shows you the 202, the 193 patient contacts, the 11 clinical canceled calls. The mutual aid, I showed 9, but that 9 comes from entities within Allegiance. I cannot, again, grab the information that I don't have access to. We provided 4 outside of our district, and then I broke down, again, this goes back to clinical issues, Patrick, how many ALS calls we had versus BLS calls, how many kind of statistics on how many people are over 65, how many people are under 12 years of age. Those are kind of numbers that people like to look at in their response areas. Kind of gives you a good idea of the population that's utilizing our services. Call times, kind of gave you that. Again, clinical, an average call is running 1 hour and 14 minutes as a standard. The average transport time has been about 36 minutes per transport. I gave some issues on airway events, chest pain. Those are big items. Now, when I refer to chest pains, that's the way the call came in. Now, sometimes we get calls where it comes in as difficulty breathing, but then when you get on scene, you find out it's something different. But this is on how the calls came in and how the calls got reported. Cardiac arrest, we kind of hate talking about these items, but we had 2. Ross is return of spontaneous respirations. We were glad to report we had 1, and those are
50%.
That's a good number. I will tell you, with my 48 years of experience, these type of reports are more common now than they were 20 years ago, based on the technology and the medications and the training that we have today, which has really brought those numbers around. Trauma patients, I showed that we had 49 calls for trauma. And then of those 49 patients, kind of Patrick might appreciate this, only 8 of those were transported to license sirens. So that kind of gives you an idea just how severe the trauma was. Our on-scene time for those 8, typically we have a goal of not being on scene more than 10 minutes at a trauma call. Those numbers came up pretty good. And then what I also added was hospital utilization. I didn't put down the numbers, but I did put down the hospitals that we've been transporting our patients to. If there's any other clinical data that you guys would like to see, I've been working with our quality control and quality assurance people, and they're working with me and the software to pull the data that you guys would like to see. So there's a lot of stuff we could pull. I just pulled what I thought you might.
I like the major categories. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I defer to you guys on the requirements of the technical piece of it too.
Can you provide the number for the hospital destinations? Can you provide how many times like you reported coming forward?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
You bet.
Is it, question, is there any, you're talking about the cardiac events, and it's gotten better because of technology, because of training. So specifically with training, is there anything that you see that would improve that even more, or any of the other standard, I guess, typical calls? Is there anything out there that we can?
I think the greatest thing that, outside of EMS, on the EMS side, there's always room for new medicine. What we've seen in the last 20 years is new medicine and new machinery. But the biggest issue that I see since day one has been the lack of community CPR.
Statistics show that if you have a heart attack and somebody's not doing chest compressions on you within the first 2 minutes, your odds of survival are pretty slim. I would add that not only in Medina County, but we do a lot of cardiac arrest in the Bexar County, and we've had a large success rate there as well. And most of that is because first responders and fire people, somebody shows up on the scene within that first couple of minutes, or somebody in the family knows CPR. But if that CPR is not started, the odds are not in your favor. So it's a timing issue. Outside of the technology and the medicine that we have, because once CPR starts, obviously the advanced life support issues have to follow. But those first 2 minutes are critical, and that's why the state and everybody in the nation has insisted on schools putting AEDs in the schoolrooms, teachers and folks being taught CPR, workplaces. I mean, that's the greatest thing we can do. I know that the ESD in the past, we put on a couple of community CPR events. I think the last one we did, Christy, if you could help me remember, we did 22 people, I believe, at that event. And it was free to the public, and we offer those free of charge to the public. And we'd be happy to do as many as you guys would like us to do. But to me, that's the biggest issue when it comes to cardiac arrest.
If we were to do something along those lines, we don't freeze, not. You guys run a business. You have to pay your people. They have to be there. The training piece of it. So what we just need to know kind of what are we looking at for numbers on that one, so you guys can.
Are you using your own call personnel? Your ones that are here to do that?
Yeah. Well, we bring people in, and I don't want to put him on the spot.
No, he's also on the spot.
Jason is also American Heart, right? You're not American Heart? Okay. Our folks are American Heart certified, and we can bring people down. We love to do this, and part of our contract, we do this to everybody we contract with. We can do it a couple times a year. We can do it once a quarter. We go in Frio County. We train all the county employees every year. We recertify all their county employees in CPR. It's a big issue because, again, it's from a medical perspective and a first responder. That's the biggest and the saddest thing that you run into is when you go to these drownings and things like that where cardiac CPR is necessary and somebody knows how to do it. We've also put on CPR classes for the First Baptist Church here in Devine. And again, we'd love to do more. But you asked the question, to me, that's the biggest next step. We have the technology, we have the medication, we have the training, but the problem is that when you go into cardiac arrest, you better pray somebody who's standing with you knows how to do CPR.
Is that scheduling these classes for county employees or city employees or whatever?
Yes.
Would that go through you or Jason?
Go through me.
You? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
in the past we did it at a community fair, so the way we did it is we invited different things within the community, like the food bank, the VA was here, the blood bank was here.
It was a health fair.
Yeah, it was like a health fair.
Yeah.
We provided different services that people didn't know that we had in our county, and then we held the CPR portion of it. I believe we had it at the community center here.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Right. But again, I don't want to overburden anybody, but if I had my way, we'd train every citizen in Devine and Natalia to do CPR. It's that critical.
can we do that and focus on, and Jessica, you're a county employee, the reason I'm picking on you. Can we contact Keith and tell Keith that, hey, we would like to do this? They've got an annex here. They've got 8 or 10 people in the annex.
We're happy to come and help in any of the counties that we work in. But typically the request needs to come from the entity.
To you?
Yeah, that would be fine. And then what I do is I get with our people, and then we start setting up dates and working with whatever entities, and making sure that we have enough instructors, we have enough.
And if we've got enough foreknowledge, I guess you could call it, we could call in the blood bank and have them come set up their.
Yeah, I mean, we're open.
We did it, it was really, really good. We had a lot of people. The second one kind of paid off because I think we were in competition with something. But we had like Methodist, the hospital from Hondo came in. We had one of the birds here. The VA was here. The blood bank was here. Food pantry. Just different services in Medina County that people don't know that is available to them. And that's what we did.
We need to get a hold of you. Somebody, and
yeah, just give me a call and I'll make it happen.
I'll get hold of you.
The only, just whoever calls us, obviously we don't run around with a building on our backs, so we come to you and to your buildings, and if you want to have public, open to the public for, sponsored by the ESD, we could do it here in this facility. We can do it at the community center if that's what the city wanted to do. I like what we did in the past, but it was once a year event. I think, for me personally, not to commit my company, but I know once a year is not enough.
That was my comment. It's not enough, and it's inevitably somebody's going to be,
Yeah.
They've been somewhere they can't.
Absolutely.
So it's more often than not.
If I could
Do it a quarter.
Huh?
A quarter, would that be?
Me personally, if my company's willing, and I need to ask my management, but I think once a quarter would be great to start, and then once you get on a roll and people start getting certified, then you can start rolling like twice a year, because now they're just recertifying instead of initial certification.
Just the information that you're talking about, CPR, you can show them how to do compressions. They're not going to get a little sticker that says I'm certified, but they'll know what to do in case Joe has a heart attack and they start.
No, we'll certify them.
Yeah.
Okay. That clear the airway. Those are two key.
So where we can go with this is that the fire department has a facility and they've got more instructors. So if we make this a bigger event, we include them. We have it at their building with, they've got plenty of room in the bay. If the class turns out that it's going to be big.
Fire departments, we have 2 in our ESD.
Yeah. I would like to ask you on your next report, not to be facetious, but I would like to see whether the cardiac arrests are in Devine or Natalia district, because I know that the fire department here is supporting you with first responders to see if that actually is making a difference in your call.
That Ross that I just mentioned was here, and Devine did make scene. So first responders are critical.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, because we got to come back to the comments from last month where we are it. There's no level here. We are it. ESC4 is it. We're down in South Medina County and the large area. In many cases, we don't have anything else right now. So we urge the public to do the best we can to preserve life and make them healthier. I did some work previously in colonias down in Webb County and over at Devine years ago, and we had a partnership with A&M's team.
TEACS? The TEACS program?
Yeah.
Yes.
With their colonias, with
Right.
Walsker and
I'm also a TEACS instructor as well.
So one of the things that they did is there were some systemic health problems within the colonias, and a lot of the residents, they thought that Tampico was as good as orange juice, and they didn't realize that sugar is bad and sugar causes diabetes and dementia and heart disease and all the issues that come. And it's just public education on that.
Right.
They started it was like a para-nursing program, so along those lines, that really was about education and sharing that that may not be the best thing to eat just because you can get it on food stamps or for low income folks.
That's why we do the classes for free, because a lot of places charge. It's not a lot of money, but if you don't have any money, it doesn't matter. It could be $1 billion. So we do all the classes free of charge.
And again, I want to come back to you. I really appreciate that Allegiance would do that for us, but it's not sustainable. So we just, I think that some budget work on that one. We can't ask you guys to do additional. Just out of the goodness of your heart into perpetuity. Well, they're doing it for PR. They fine, whatever. But that's for the company to make that decision. And if they're going to chalk it up to PR, then that's awesome. And baby kissing, whatever. But we need to have that longer term discussion that it can be sustainable. So do this quarterly, that you guys are able to. Yeah, we can credit that right over to our public piece of that one. That we want to take care of our community.
So back to getting this thing kicked off, who needs to contact you?
Call me.
I want to run it through Jason. The coordination, he's going to coordinate with the company as I see this. I'm looking at the broader base. We're going to push the belly button over here and say, coordinate the location and the other, entities that are going to come in. We can let Pat just concentrate on his team and his, hey, I'm going to need this many instructors and that kind of thing. So.
So we brought up a question about the shift stuff, 3 on, 3 off.
Mm-hmm.
When you predicted a date, when do you think that y'all are going to go back to 48?
I've already hired a couple of more people, so some of the folks have already gone back to 48-hour shifts. And by this time next week, my basics will all be on 48s. My paramedics are still on 72s. Still working on trying to get people to come out here.
What's the holdup? What's preventing it right now? Systemic.
Distance. I mean, there's lots of jobs in San Antonio, and they live closer to that.
Yeah.
And they want to come out here when they can go closer.
Is it a number? Is it money? Or salary?
Yes and no. Some people chase money, some people chase opportunity. Every medic's different. I've got some medics that they don't want to work at a station that has more than 3 calls a day, and I have some medics that don't want to work in a station that doesn't have less than 10 a day.
Yeah.
So it just varies on what their personal preferences are. But typically it's like, I'll go to Castroville, but because it's right there off Trenco and those areas. But to be honest with you, getting people to come this way and out and into Frio is difficult.
Well, okay, so that, since you named it, how's this going to affect you? Because it's May, they changed ESD1?
I'm actually pretty sure that I'm going to get a couple of medics out of that program.
You what now?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a couple of medics out of that program.
What do you mean?
I'll get them to come over here instead of going to San Antonio.
From ESD1?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's already a known. I mean, I've got at least 5 or 6 medics.
So you don't anticipate losing your teams to the...
I anticipate losing a few.
To ESD1?
Absolutely. Yeah, because they're firefighter guys. That's what they want to do.
Okay.
And so they're moving over to the fire side.
Okay.
But the medics that don't want to play fire, they're staying with us.
I'm assuming you guys are ready for that one then.
Oh, we've been ready.
Okay.
We've been anticipating this, and they gave us a heads up 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we've been planning on this, and unfortunately, it's been delayed because of procurement issues and getting equipment and the supplies that they want, particularly trucks. It took them almost 2.5 years to get the trucks they want.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any more questions for Matt?
I did. Did you send the contract stuff to Pat also?
Yes, I did.
You have any word about the fill-in truck that's supposed to come out?
No.
With a contract? And the peak unit?
No.
That's in the contract?
That,
They're gonna come from?
that has to come from higher authority.
Okay.
That information's been moved. I know we've been looking at buying some more trucks. The biggest issue is having enough trucks that aren't in the rat race to send down here during those moments, because it's not something that's planned. You don't know when it's going to happen.
George
So-
said the other day his biggest issue was staffing.
Well, you got to have staff and trucks.
Yeah.
So, I talked with my COO, or who is now the president of the company, and my vice president, and we're in the process of. I know we have 4 new trucks coming in, and I'm supposed to get one of them.
Okay. So they're all, everybody's aware. We just found that, our bad, we didn't know it was in there, and so we're looking to try to get that enforced. Did you see what we're talking about? So in the contract that we signed, that was signed previous, it states that they will provide a peak unit on a daily basis and a fill-in unit when we're out of units. And we didn't know that was in the contract. Jason actually found it. And so we're asking Allegiance to move forward with doing what's in the contract.
And we were trying to keep track of, is this a one-time a month thing, or is this 100 times a day thing? And it's been pretty consistent. So that should help them determine that number of calls every month that they're losing, because they're not able to respond to them. So they're losing those calls.
It's not a question of losing calls. The logistics is, this is an old issue, and we've spoken about it for years. When our units move or get dispatched, our guys are really great about telling Medina County, because it's been drilled into their heads, call the county, call the county, call the county. But the county doesn't call Allegiance. So more often than not, Allegiance doesn't even find out they're on a call till they're halfway back home. So it's really difficult to provide a backup unit and then when you find out and you look at now we have the GPS, which I haven't had for 5 years. When you go to look and find out where it's at, it's like, oh man, they're almost all the way back. So it really becomes a logistics issue. How are we going to get notified? Who's going to notify us? I mean, and I know that may sound crazy, because we also have push-to-talks where our guys call our dispatcher, but that doesn't always happen. In fact, yesterday I had to call here to get one of our units to respond because the radio didn't go off. There was something with the radio communications. In the interim, my push-to-talk, where our dispatchers talk to, is sitting in the dang truck. So everybody's out of communications, and it took a unit an ample amount of time to respond to that call. And these problems have to be resolved before we can actually function.
Where do you see the hurdle? The greatest hurdle is on our part, and where do you see the greatest hurdle is on your part?
The problem that as I see it, right, is that when we took this contract, and Tony can help fill in these gaps as well as the previous board presidents, we communicated with the county because they dispatch everybody, and we even went over there and put in a switch in their phone system so that whenever a 911 calls in for our district, you hit the switch and it goes automatically to our dispatch. Wonderful. Now, my dispatch knows, everybody on the planet knows when trucks are out. And what they're going to. We even offered them, when it switches over to us, we have EMD dispatch. The county doesn't. So that's even better. And our EMD dispatcher stays on the phone with the patient during the whole time of the call, if the patient's family member wants to do that, which is extremely helpful in a time of cardiac arrest or whatever. I've talked to the county, I've talked to dispatch, I've talked to emergency management folks, and they don't hit that switch until they feel it's necessary, and that's not very often.
Define that. Say, what does that mean?
Well, if you hit this switch, what it does is it dials over to our dispatch as well. So our dispatch is now on the phone with the patient or the family member as well as the county dispatcher.
So it goes to a three-way call essentially?
Yes.
Okay.
But typically what occurs, and I don't want to talk out of school, but I think typically what happens at dispatch, because dispatch in Medina County dispatches everything.
Sure.
So they're extremely busy, and there's not a room full of dispatchers. So they usually take the call, put the data in, and hang up. Our dispatchers don't do that.
Sure.
So by having that process in place, it allows our dispatchers to know immediately where our guys are going to. It allows our dispatchers to be on the phone, our emergency management certified dispatchers who are medically trained, so they can give medical advice until the truck gets there, and they always know where the truck's at. So there's no loss of time, and so they not only know the minute it's happening, they also know, do we have other trucks in the area, who are we going to send out to backfill, and so on and so forth. But with a break in communications, it makes that process difficult.
So,
Now, I'm not saying that if we solve that problem,
the issue is, from what you're saying right now, is that there is some procedural missteps in making that connection with your team, so that you can be knowing, you guys know,
Yep.
hey, we got to ship somebody over from Frio,
Yep.
or whatever that would be. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
that would be most helpful. And in the past, that was part of the problem with how do you even get, again, you try to send a truck out here and the other truck beats you back, or you meet them on the road. And so I take a truck out of service in San Antonio, send down here just to find out that the other truck's already on its way back. After a while, you kind of get tired of sending trucks.
Yeah, sorry, any more questions for Pat? Okay, thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the extra. Jason?
I would like to be able to host an certified emergency vehicle driver training course. I have all the content, I have all the logistics for the traffic cones from a former colleague in Wilson County. The emergency management office has a cone trailer. I just need a big parking lot.
For the set with you guys. We're talking about training just staff.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Is there a need for that? Are we having issues?
Well, they've already wrecked the unit twice, so.
Okay. So how does this sit? Is there a requirement for it? Okay, we see we have a systemic issue or showing itself behind. What's the timeline for the accidents?
2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks, there was two
Yes.
accidents. Did that put the units out of commission?
No.
The vehicles?
No.
Okay. Was there repairs required?
There will be, yes.
Was there any harm to patients?
No.
Any harm to staff?
No.
Okay.
It's just property damage.
Okay.
Were they on call when it happened?
Yes.
Lights and tires?
Nope. One of them was backing into the hospital. They backed into the awning, even though they know that particular hospital's awning is lower than usual. The next one was at the Devine PD. They scraped the side of the truck on the steel awning.
So I'm just curious where setting a lead-off course is going to help with awnings when it sounds like it's more like a ground bed from getting your butt out and backing up.
Mm-hmm.
So procedurally, you guys have procedures in place to say get out of the damn vehicle and go back it up. So we've got some retraining on your end.
That particular issue wasn't even backing up.
It was driving forward. The driver cleared his side, but he couldn't see the passenger side. And the passenger, whatever,
God help me, sir.
on the phone, radio, doing a report, doing CPR, wasn't there.
So again, no problem with patients, no problem with injury. We got a little bit of property damage.
Correct.
So again, I'm not sure where.
It actually benefits their company by having everybody go through a certified driving course
Okay. What say you?
if they want to participate.
Yeah. Because that's it. So we can offer it, but do you guys think there's a need for it, or is there another issue?
I will offer that to my employees as an option.
Okay.
I won't make it mandatory.
There's always certainly always benefits more training. It's just got to be germane, and we're talking about bringing folks on to.
Well, I was going to bring in other departments if we do host it.
Okay.
I just need to find the facility that can work. Which previously here they've done the school, so it would have to be on the weekend. It's about a 2-day course. So, but before I proceed with asking, I'm not going to do all the groundwork for 2 weeks for somebody to tell me no, you can't do that.
I don't have any opposition to it. I want to make sure that you guys are tied into this one because it's going to affect your team more than anything else.
And it's good PR.
Yeah, and how many people are we able to tie into our partner ESDs?
Yeah, we can expand it out to anybody that wants to come. And I can actually teach it for law enforcement, fire, or EMS.
What's the cost involved?
I'll eat it.
No, not your pay.
No, I will eat it. It doesn't cost ESD anything.
What's that?
It doesn't cost ESD anything.
Are you just awarding certificates in the company that you're working through?
I already have the course content material. It's just a matter of getting the traffic cones over here and back.
And where would they come from?
Wilson County Emergency Management Office.
Oh, you're home?
No,
Aren't you in that area?
it's 20 miles away, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with it. I think coordinating is good. It's training's always good to offer it up, and it could be a good time to bring up. Call in a food truck and you guys have lunch. Do the thing during the day. Have a good time. It's a matter of communication.
Yep.
The school, we used to do it with fire trucks over in the school parking lot. It's big enough for it. And you've got some zigzag areas and stuff like that. I think it's a great thing to do.
I looked at the airport. I don't know if it'll be big enough.
If you need wide, you're thinking long and narrow.
One obstacle alone, they have to get up the apparatus up to 45 miles an hour and then be able to stop it within 100 feet.
Okay.
So and if you do, there's the two biggest obstacles are 100 feet long. So there's two different ones.
Okay, so do you anticipate this would be a one-time thing?
It's a 16-hour course. We could do it as often as we'd like, pending I get access to the traffic cones, because it does require about 200 to 300 traffic cones, which my friend is the EMC, so she said she would graciously lend them to me if I picked them up. And then I just need the facility.
Okay.
So this is another one of the classes you can offer like CPR.
Yes,
Yeah.
except it's a driving class.
And you guys can come if they want.
Yes. Molly, and when I say that, I mean, when you're talking about a 16-hour class, you're talking about moving the units to another area, which is still within the district, but we just can't take the units out of service.
Yeah.
Correct.
So what happens if they have to leave? Do they lose their cert? I mean, how does that work?
No. So they can do, there's a didactic portion and then there's an obstacle portion. And you get your course completion once you finish all. If they're on a call, they can make that time up later. They can do it on a different day. Like, it doesn't have to be done within that 16 hours. So if Steve and Patrick go out on a call, they can come back tomorrow and do it. They can do the obstacles tomorrow. Cool. Or they can come back later today if we're still out there. I've done the class. I've taken the class and I've driven it as a student and an instructor in fire trucks, ambulances, and law enforcement vehicles. So it's a good course. It's just good experience if they've had it before. So.
Okay, when do you anticipate?
I'll have to probably go talk to the school, and it'll be on their time frame.
Okay.
So, to be determined.
It's not a no.
Yeah, you go forward, I think, and proceed to bring some good details on that one. Just again, and start doing that chat. It's your monthly meeting with your peers.
Yeah, we have a Chiefs meeting coming up, I believe, on the 17th. 12th? 17th?
Are you on that back? You should be.
I didn't set the meeting.
So make sure
County Chiefs, so.
Make sure you guys are inviting and big coordinating. But you know what the concept behind this is everybody's got to sing Kumbaya. And
Yeah, I don't know who, it's the Emergency Management Office, I think, that organized it.
Doing what?
The County Chiefs meeting? You didn't get that invite today?
I'm not sure.
You should have that.
figure it out.
Okay, it's not.
That's why you don't get big bucks.
So,
Yeah, just figure it out. Make sure everybody's a part of this thing.
Sure.
That a lot of work gets done on golf courses and breakfast meetings.
Sure. In regards to the accidents, 8140 was the truck that was damaged at the police department. I've talked to Allegiance's contract service manager, Jamie Yearwood. She handles all vehicle fleet expenses and operations. She told me that if the damage is less than $20,000, they'll just pay it out of pocket at a body shop of our choice. If we don't have a local body shop, or one to recommend, she sent me one that Allegiance has done business with in Buda, and she said they have a really good working relationship with them, and they get their ambulances turned around pretty quickly.
Okay, so then we're going to have a down unit on ours, and then you guys will be able to make sure you cover it.
Yes, sir.
Done. Okay, so it's not like it's not even happening, right?
Right.
Okay.
80.
I called Bird's refinishing.
Yeah.
Ricky Bird, he said, no ambulance.
You still got to start busy anyway. So.
And then our other ambulance, 8240, is still at Siddons Martin. It had a number of issues from same thing as last month's meeting. They're putting in manual shutoff valves for the HEAR core in the patient compartment. The delay was the technician came up with a fix, but it had to be certified by the Crestline engineers in Canada.
Well, you're $200,000 consultation. Okay, got it.
So, because the trucks are still under warranty, they had to get approval from the ambulance manufacturer.
Yeah, okay.
They finally came to an agreement with a solution. The solution has been put in and installed. And this truck is part of the bad batch from the factory that had bad AC crimp lines.
Okay.
So those lines were stuck in Kentucky last week. They were supposed to come in yesterday. And then once they do, they'll update me so we can go get it. So I'm hoping that unit will be back this week.
Okay.
8140 had an oil change on March 28th, and on the 31st they found out it was having a low voltage issue that was shorting the truck, so they took it back to Ford, and Ford replaced both batteries. $246,000.
Okay. And that's complete now?
Yes.
What you done?
Yes. The only other contract outliers I have, other than what was previously discussed, is QuickBook Access. Y'all did not make a decision at last month's meeting.
Well, we're waiting to see if you can get us a server. Because if we go with their server, it's $5,000 a year, right? If we go with our server, it's $1,250 for the year.
$1,250?
Yes.
Okay.
And as previously mentioned, the lease agreement for the ambulances for the purchase option 2 is still at the attorney's office. You're CC'd on those.
But you have authorization now to make that happen?
Correct, but he doesn't respond to me, so
I'll give you his phone number. If he doesn't respond, I'll call him.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so back to QuickBooks.
Okay.
So Christie, is that where we're at, right?
Yeah, so if we have to stay with there is a cloud-based server, so that means Pat can be at home, I can be at home, and then you get 3 users, so whoever the 3rd user is, then you...
That's if we're gonna run on their computer, good. But if we're gonna do it in here, we set a line in here.
Yeah, it's about $1,250 to $1,500 per year instead of what...
Okay. And so it's either $5,000 a year or $1,250 a year. Got it. Thank you. That's all I need to know about that. So it's a numbers thing. Okay.
So what do you want to do with it?
I'm gonna go and pound the pavement on this one with our Huckleberry, and we gotta make this happen now.
Okay, so we'll table that issue till next month.
I will have something for you next month. No question. And maybe, you know, the 5,000, whatever it is, but I will have something. Okay, I want to keep us chugging here, guys. So let's go on. Is there any more, Jason?
Later on.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for the chief? Okay. All right. Next one, approval of the minutes. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes. Oh, Tony's gone. From last month. Is there any outliers?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to wait till Tony gets back in here so he can do it. So let's go to financial.
Christie?
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Approval of last month's minutes. Do you have any issue with the minutes from last month?
Well, I wasn't here, but I used them more to catch up on what happened.
Okay. So with that, I'll take a motion to approve minutes.
I'll make it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so Carrie, please put those minutes in there. Okay, now please on financial reports. Everybody have a chance to review financial reports and see where we're at right now. That's last month. And are there any issues with that?
Yes.
Sir?
Fuel man?
Yes, so, Fuel Man, I talked to Mr. Dubose the other day about Fuel Man.
Mr.
Fuel Man.
About what?
Fuel man.
It's the.
Gas cards.
Okay.
So the issue that we're having is, the statement comes after we meet.
Okay.
So I don't get it, and it's only a 10-day grace period, so they've been calling saying, we're late, we're late, we're late. So
And they're unwilling to.
they're unwilling to change our billing cycle completely because it was a deposit, because at that time we had no credit. So with the program that we're in, they're unwilling to change that cycle. So my recommendation to you is, because Jason's the only one that uses it for the command vehicle, is close that account so that way we don't have to deal with it. Allow him to use the MasterCard and submit his receipt.
I have no issue with that. Does anybody have an issue with that?
Yeah, I told her to go ahead and do it.
Good. I don't even know if we need a motion for that one, so close that,
No, I can just close
please. Yeah,
the
please
account.
close that account. Just use your,
The check that's in there is the last check that, because I called them and asked them for the final statement, so that check that's in there is
Okay.
the final payment from what they do. They're not very helpful, nothing. I had to get Tony on the phone because he was the one on it, and so it was just not.
okay. Well,
So-
it's too easy.
With that, if you would come up with some kind of form
I have one,
that you can staple the receipt to and put your mileage on?
Yeah, when I worked at TDM, I had an envelope with cards for every month. So I would just document the date, the mileage, the total fuel cost, and the number of gallons on that card for the whole month. And at the end of the month, I would submit it with a copy of all the receipts.
Just making sure we can reconcile everything
Yep.
as we go down the line, and it's great, you know.
It's an easy process, and you'll have copies of it all.
Yeah, thanks Chrissy for the recommendation, that's good. So, okay. Anything else on the?
So this, the check for Brian Winnan, he's the mower? Okay,
He's a what?
the lawnmower guy.
Oh, okay.
He had to work this time.
Damn rain.
I did reach out and ask him to come back, and he said that the soonest he would have is Friday.
And he also is not charging us, he's also cleaned up the little pile that's back there. I don't know if you guys have ever walked back there, but there was a pile of metal.
No, the crews did that.
Oh, we could do it.
Yeah, the crews actually helped pick up a bunch of trash, because we get a lot of trash that blows over, and then it becomes a safety hazard for the aircraft if they come in. So specifically the Rosses, thank you very much, Pat, please give them kudos. They picked up a lot of the trash out in that back corner.
That's you, me signs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've gone through the financial report. Balance sheet actually looks good. There's one report that I get the confusion. The one with Texan Bank that your reconciliation report has the checks that haven't gone through. I think that's where some of the confusion about the balance issue was coming from. But I finally kept looking at it going, what is wrong with this? And I caught it, so it's all good.
Okay.
Or the reports I gave you are the reports that you want?
Yes, there was, the balance sheet was the only thing that was missing out of there, but I looked at your reconciliation and they all matched up.
Okay. With that, is there any other issue with the financial reports, gentlemen? So with that, I'll take a motion to
Make a motion that we accept the finance report.
I'll second it.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so carried. Okay, you want to give us an update on the ESD audit?
I'm deferring that to.
Okay.
She just handed it to me, so
Yeah, good.
she's talking to the auditor.
Okay,
So we completed our fiscal year 23-24 audit. Nothing, he says everything looks great. The report that you got is what he's found. So there was a couple of things as far as Allegiance was the only one that we were having an issue with because we overpaid Allegiance, which was my fault because I put too many sixes. Because it's like.
I bet you they appreciated that.
yeah, I'm laughing, she's okay, sorry, it sucks,
That was the
but,
only correction that he had as far as my accounting, is because of that extra six. So what happened was is that we were deducting from the amount that they had already got, but then Juan decided, no, that's not what he wanted to do, he wanted the money back. So we had to send them an invoice to get the remaining balance
Okay.
back. And apparently I didn't do it correctly, so that was the only fix that he had, plus the ambulances. He put the ambulances as a capital. I did not put it as a capital in our QuickBooks.
Yeah, he's got to do depreciation and all that.
Other than
what
that,
did you have it listed as? Just equipment?
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't put it under special account,
Do you understand the difference, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Once he explained it to me and showed me,
Yeah.
we have a very good person. He gets online with me, he's on the phone with me and shows
Sure,
me
yeah.
exactly what my problem was. So he did close everything, so everything as of September 30th has been locked and nobody can go back. We are moving forward with the first and we're good.
Okay,
So it was a clear audit. The audit was also sent to George and Viola because it was their fiscal year.
yeah,
And it was sent to Jennifer Adlong at the county courthouse. And it will be posted on our agenda.
that's where I wanted
on
to,
Facebook- or
on our website, yes,
website.
okay. So I want to just make sure the public has access to that so they can see.
We have to approve it.
What's that?
We have to approve it before it can be posted.
Is that, do we need to approve it right now, or?
No, to approve it.
But we have
Okay,
to.
when,
Once we reviewed it.
Yes.
okay,
Because if there's something,
so you want to make, is that,
So it'll be on next month's agenda.
got it, thank you, that's what I was looking for, okay.
This was just an update because I just finished it and he sent all of the account changes and everything. It's been incorporated. He's locked it and that's the report that he sent me.
Okay. But if we do have some revisions, then we can go back in there, or we can go back in and say.
He can, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
This way we have time to review it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, any more questions on audit, guys? Gentlemen? Okay, let's move on to number 9. This is just the first hack at for strategy, and what my intent here is just to focus us and make sure that we have, it's a one-pager here. it's both sides, two-sided. This is just some broad brush strokes so we can get to all along the same, we're all rowing in the same boat here. We're going the same direction. So running down here, so some of these are already underway, and some of them are we still have to work on. So operationally, we have reestablished the contract, and now we've redirected our full-time equivalent to to handle compliance on that contract. We're working that. Jason, when you go to school? Tuesday, yeah, it's excellent. I'm very excited for that to come back, and I expect lots of text communication from you on that one, and go like, oh no, anyway.
Or he's gonna go, man, that was a good nap.
I do not anticipate that from an intelligent individual. Okay, second one on that one is, again, we already know about Natalia. We're working through that one. That is an ongoing. We discussed it, and we will keep that on the top of our agendas until it's done. Quarterly reconcile and review. Again, this is over the next month or two, or once we get this thing established, the strategy, and once everybody approves of it, then we'll start working with it'll be myself, it'll be the treasurer, and be the assistant treasurer, and the FTE to do this, the reconcile and the reviews of the contract, the equipment projection and disposition. This is going to become important that we have good detailed numbered projections as we go along for what we're going to anticipate for tax base coming out of the county. 775 compliance review, and anything we're not doing properly that we need to, and we need to realign ourselves. And then also we need to be looking at the development projections within the county, and what do we see for anticipated service requirements as we're going forward. This is just to kind of get that set, so we're rocking and rolling from there. I understand we're already working on the June report to the commissioners. That we need to do our annual report for finances and everything else. So that's going to be key. I want to be involved with that.
She said she's already sent that.
You already sent the report in?
The audit?
The audit?
Not the audit, no.
You want projected.
We have a report due to the commissioners in June of every year.
That's the audit.
Is it just the audit?
Yes.
I thought there was another one that had to go in
So our
there.
audit is due to the county and to the commissioners by June 1st.
Okay.
There's another date that we have to report to them, and that's the commissioner's information and the point of contact, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
that's sent to the judge. So there's 4 reports that were reviewed that are due by me. The audit is June 1st. I have to have it to you guys by June 1st and to the county by June 1st.
Okay.
Then it's the list of the new commissioners with contact and emails, which is done after the next set have come in. And
Yep.
then there's 2 reports that I have to file with the Texas Comptroller, which is due in January.
Okay.
Those have already been submitted.
Okay.
Those are the 4. The only thing on this, we have to do an amended budget. It has to be done every 6 months.
Yeah.
So April would normally be it, so I would say probably in May, hold a specials meeting to
Okay.
just do the budget.
Okay.
Then at that meeting, that's when, because Patrick and I can meet before that and have projected what's coming up.
Could we set that as a working group to do that work, and then do the approval just at the May meeting?
We can.
Or the
because
June meeting or whatever.
The only time that I can see numbers is if we're sitting together
We'll have to be
on her
together.
computer,
Okay.
because of where we're
Every
at.
other Wednesday, so if it's a case that he can work on Wednesday, or
Okay.
Wednesdays before the next meeting, then I can come and meet him here on Wednesdays. I'm off every other Wednesday.
So we can do that.
Please set that up. I want to make sure we're doing that, and I don't want to take the time for the rest of the board unless we have to. But please have that set up and ready to go, and then be able to present it and have that discussion, would you? So if we can pull that off before the May meeting, that'd be fantastic, but I would understand if we cannot. So please go for that one. Okay. Communications plan, that is the role of the secretary on this one, and I don't know what we want to do for that. Is how do we attack it to make sure that we have full public knowledge of what's going on in here. That's going to include our web presence, our social media, whatever else we've got going on, and that also is a requirement for me with the technical consultant that I was going to work with. But we do need to establish a plan that we have full communications with the audit and the minutes and all these things that we normally do, to include, hey, here's the upcoming training pieces that we want to do and how do we get that out there. So it's really, I think it's going to be mostly, what I would anticipate is mostly web and social media and maybe some newspaper stuff too.
Anton's good at that.
What's that?
Anton's good at that.
Yeah. Okay, next, so if you see the way I've actually broken this down, operational, financial, and personnel. So monthly, I want to start working on a spend plan review. So we know this is what we anticipate we're going to be spending through the year, and it goes back to that revised budget that we're talking about. So, and then here's where we're spending, and here's where we anticipated we need to bet, our anticipated or our projected versus actual. And at the end of every month, we say, okay, we expected we were going to spend $500, and we spent $522. Okay, we anticipate we were going to spend $600, and we spent $300. And then we can make those adjustments for there. That's just going to be like normal monthly work. Year-over-year projections. That's just on a larger scale. Very similar, but. What do we anticipate for the projections coming in from the county for year over year, and from last year for this year, and then the corresponding expenditure projections. Those are going to be set, and then that will inform the monthly spend plan review. Okay, for personnel piece is the contract training that's underway right now next week. And I would like to do a quarterly waypoint check. Every quarter we're gonna do a check and make sure we're on track for what we wanna get done for personnel training, any other kind of actions we need to take. And then we need to do an annual compensation package review, and we'll do that in closed session. And I think that the best time to do that is probably going to be in the fall.
Budget.
Sir?
Budget time.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that be done in an extra meeting also. So
A
that we're
special
not-
meeting?
Yeah, so we're not, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to discuss that, but
I think it's what I anticipate it's going to involve is you're going to say, we got this much money, and then we say, okay. I don't anticipate it'll leave much at all if we just do it in closed session. Okay, so, and that's just for this first year. These are the things I want to get initiated and get started. It's going to require constant updated tweaking as we go through, but we'll get to that place as we go along, and we'll figure out what works and what does not work. So are there any questions on there? Are there any revisions on here? Are there any recommendations you guys have? And I very much appreciate any input on this.
I've just got a comment about the annual report to commissioners. In all honesty, you're supposed to give them the audit. Well, they look at it like this and next.
I know they do.
The same with all the reports, because they have no control over what you do. They have your managing tax line, so they look at, okay, this next, they go on. So it's really not that big a deal for the commissioners.
well,
You can print that.
the problem with it is
Give me
in
experience
the
with it.
law, it says that if we don't produce that report, that the president and the treasurer are immediately removed from the board. So it's mandated by law that we give
I
it.
understand that, but
So I understand what you're saying, yeah.
send them a couple of crayon colorings or something.
Well, they used to make, and this is the first year they've actually sent it electronically. I'm like, do not make those books. That's just ridiculous. Because normally they send me these books, they send me 12 books. I'm like, no, just send it to me so that way I can put it, and I'll send it to Jennifer. Because Jennifer and I go way back, and I was like, Jennifer, here's the audit, and that was it. She's like, thanks.
I do want to take the opportunity, though, going in there, is to go in person and have that discussion with them and be apparent in the commissioner's
That's one
court.
word, right? Not a parent.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, well, maybe, you never know. But so they have an understanding, and it also gives them the opportunity to ask us, what's going on, if they have any questions about what's happening on our end. So I absolutely want to be there and to go, just because, well, I think it's part of our job that we report.
Jennifer, you want to get on the agenda?
What's that?
Jennifer, you want to get on the agenda?
Yes, sir. Any other comments on year 1 stuff? Year 2 through 5 are a lot more of the same sort of ideas. Some of the, I want to make sure we're doing an annual review on our operations contract, if we need to do some new work with that, and then bring it back to Allegiance, or however we're going to be providing those services. I anticipate in years 2 through 5 that we're going to need to be ready to be prepared to, that is, open 1 to 2 substations within the county, just as we keep on growing. If we don't have to, that's great. We're ready for it, but.
So by then we'll have 2 in place. This one and the tank.
Yeah. And right, so that's one of the 2, and yeah, going through. But it just, as we're growing, and we're going to see that happen. We know what's going on the other end of the county. So, not that we ever want that to happen here, but there will be some. Okay, the financial review. Again, we're going to be doing annual county projections. This is what we anticipate you guys are going to be seeing. This is a tool. The next piece is establishing a 10% contingency hold. That's for the off the spend plan. And the reason, what's that?
Reserves.
Essentially, yeah. We're just going to hold back in case, the sky falls. So, and then we're going to be to do those expenditures right to revenue as we go along, that anticipated spend plan, and then get us better and better and better at that. So we know what's through the 5-year plan of where we should see money coming in. And this is really so that a lot of this stuff can go on somewhat of an autopilot, that we can just give the team, hey, go get it. And here's where we see this stuff happening. And if there's exceptions, then come back to us, and we'll make those decisions on that one. So the financial projections, operational life cycle replacement on equipment, and what person.
That ought to be something that ought to run continuously.
The life cycle replacement? Yeah. But this is to put together that plan. And here's the list of stuff that we're going to have to replace after every, so many years, so we can have that spend plan review.
You got to move that to page 1.
What's that?
You got to move that to page 1.
No, I don't. We got enough going on page 1. No, this is what we'll get next year. We'll start putting this one together. Capital real property, if we see those projections and we see those growth pieces happening in certain areas that we anticipate, hey, we may want to look at purchasing a small piece of property out in the hinterland somewhere while it's still cheap. Again, personnel, we come back to that one, same thing. Review our current versus projected, and based on trends, based on population, based on budgets, and then review staff and board training requirements, continual review, and hey, dummy, go to your class and go do that one. So that's what we need to look at. Okay, any questions on these? I don't want to belabor it. Comments, recommendations? Okay.
It's a start. It's a great start.
Thank you. It's a start. We'll continue to refine. Please hit me on the side if you have something pops up in your mind over the next couple of weeks here, and I'll include it to keep on going with it. So next month I'll be putting together that kind of more refining on the plan, how I see each of those things will happen. And then I'll bring it back to you all in June again too, so you can give me the final approval, then that's what we'll start executing from there. So with that, I will go on to number 10, investment policy. Patrick.
So in your packet, you should have this form.
It's almost to the last. Somebody cut and pasted.
Me.
Find, replace.
I don't know how to do that.
Still looking for it, Patrick.
Pardon me?
I'm still looking for it.
It's got the ESD4 color photo on it.
That's what I'm looking for. There it is, that's the monthly chief support, right?
Yes, that's the monthly chief. No, this is a investment policy.
It's all the way in the back of your packet, and that's where I found mine. Right before the Tyler technology.
Somebody said he had the technology to use paper.
Yeah, you got shit to read. I think you're doing it on purpose. Anyway, I'm gonna sit here and look at Tony, so go ahead. Go to 10.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this came from the investment firm and through Clint and through Ken. And yeah, I did cut and paste very well. But this is a policy that we have to establish to be able to invest our money in anything other than a bank. And this sets the what you have to do, the steps that you have to go through.
Yep. This is where setting up the spend plan and all these things is going to inform how much money we can drop into investment accounts and have liquid.
Well, so we'll go through, we have to approve this before, I've got the report for this other one.
Yeah, good, this is good. 3 months, yeah, that's right there. Strategy, 6 months and 3 months. What's Oh. So, my first question is on the earning incremental income. Is the intent to have an annual dividend, or is this to invest in appreciable assets?
So, okay, I'll move forward with this then. So this Texas class that Juan uses with school districts and government bodies use it. Currently at the bank, we're getting less than 0.25%
Sure.
interest. And their predictions for March was 4.43%.
Sure.
And they have a flow of what percentage they paid out for the money. So I'm looking to take, we got to figure out what we have as our annual expenditures, leave that in an account, and then move the rest of the money in this account. This is very fluid. You can move money 3, 4, 5 times a day without any penalties, and you can float it in and out. But, I mean, we can look at other things, but we have to, before we can really move forward with anything, we have to establish the investment policy.
This is just saying, hey, we're getting Bupco off of the banks right now. We're actually losing money. This is even losing by inflationary standards, 4.3%.
But you're not losing as much.
It's not losing as much. So right.
Yeah, and I asked the bank if we could, I asked Texan Bank if we could negotiate the percentage, and they didn't want to do that.
So this is just an option.
This is an option,
Do we
yes.
have a requirement to, is there governmental requirements that we can only invest in certain accounts?
we can invest in this, it's an investment agency for government funds.
Okay.
That would be probably the safest move.
Yeah, it's not in the stock market, so it's not volatile, and you can see what their average is paying.
Well, this is, I'm sure this is this entity is essentially taking that money and putting it into an index
Right.
fund of some sort, that they're not just letting the money sit, they're putting that money to work, fine, whatever it is, and they're arbitraging a cut of that in order to pay their fees and all that stuff, and which they should be making money. We have, this is just an option, I guess, that's where I'm looking at. I need to know exactly what we can, what are the requirements, what can we invest in? And if we're looking at an incremental income, that indicates we would be receiving a dividend, a monthly dividend, a monthly payout.
Right, so this is a percentage of what you're going. So if we put in $500,000, we would get a monthly payout of $1,800 a month.
Yeah, and is the requirement then that, based on what I see here, that the requirement would be that is paid out. Incremental income would be showing that needs to be paid out each month.
Well, it's deposited in our account.
Or, yeah, and that's where I don't like that wording, is I guess what I'm saying. The investment objective should not be to earn incremental income, but it should be to preserve funds through appreciable assets. So it could be that, because we talk about liquidity and we talk about how this term, it means something in the financial world.
The way that I look at it is incrementally, once a month, you're going to get a deposit.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the right way to handle it. We could do that. But if the wording on that says that we can only invest in things that will give us a month. If we decided we wanted to invest in a piece of property, anticipating that we're going to be out there, in the next 5 years, we're going to be building a substation out on, it doesn't matter, out by the feedlot, the old feedlot. Okay, great. But does that would not allow us to use that as an investment vehicle?
No, this is just an investment into something like this. Real property is covered under 775, and it's very specific about us purchasing real property, which is not really this.
Okay, I get, my issue is with the wording on this.
Okay, what do you want to change it to?
My recommendation on the wording, if the district chooses to invest, the investment objective is to invest in appreciable assets.
This is not an appreciable asset.
It sure is. It most certainly is.
We're not buying a bond. All we're doing is investing in a bank.
We're buying an index fund on that one, and it's an appreciable. The intent is, objective is that would be an appreciable. We're not going to put money into something that's going to lose money, I guess is the point.
Okay.
As opposed to incremental income, which would indicate a monthly dividend or a periodic dividend.
I recommend that the board.
Sorry, I'm nerding out.
You are nerding out.
This was my education, so you still fall back to it. Words mean things.
Okay.
Have you met my wife? Okay.
Do you want to postpone this till next month to do this?
I would ask that that's changed, and then we also have to change ESD 1.
Right.
So we can't do this right now anyway.
Well, we could make a motion to accept it with the changes that we were going to put in there.
Okay. Okay.
Print it.
Huh?
With fund
I
groups.
have it on my computer, we can print it once, I'll give you my computer to change it.
I'm sorry.
She has it on her computer. She can just change the wording
Okay.
and then reprint it.
I'm not opposed to it. Let me finish up here.
I'll make a suggestion.
So we say here, where was that? Shall be the policy of the district to provide local institutions the opportunity to compete for all banking investments and transactions. So if we had a local investment firm here, that we would be able to, the intent would be to work with them if they can provide a investment vehicle that's suitable and legal for us to do. Would that be a correct statement, or would it be, hey, we want to do that?
I'm just looking at something that's gonna pay us, 10 plus times the amount that we're getting paid currently.
Yeah, okay.
That it's safe, it's a bank, it's not, we're not gonna lose.
Okay.
It looks like we're only required to have 3 months of expenses, right?
Liquidity buffer for unexpected liabilities, approximately 6 months of expenses, a balance equal to 3 months. Yeah. And as long as you have something that can be liquid and yanked right out, yeah, giddy up. So if we were to do a bond, then it would be, 6-month maturity. For anything on expenses. And we could stack those if we wanted to as well. You're gonna get more out of a bond than that too. The bond yields are higher.
Yeah, but the problem is the bond's not liquid. You can't move that money like you can here.
I'm with you, yeah, but if you stack them, so if you had them, you were investing any excess prior to, and then as it came up, those bonds would mature within 6 months. And every 6 months, those would get reinvested, and you'd always have that maturity coming in for the liquidity piece.
Is there a minimum here?
No, there's no minimum. With this company, there's no minimum, but there's no minimum
Either way.
either way, right? So what we're agreeing to is that we're gonna put 10% of our annual expenses into an account for reserve fund, and then we'll have 3 to 6 months worth of money that's liquid for sure, that in case we get in trouble.
Can you have more than one account?
Yes.
Okay. Well, and what Steve was saying, you open one in February, open another one in March, another one in April. Later on down the road, you get your dividends, I guess, 3 times a month rather than once.
You just, if you were just to set up a CD, whatever,
Yeah.
bond, whatever that is, you just do one every month, and then at the end of every 6, that you have a 6-month maturity on it, you can sit in there, and every 6. Every month, one of those would become a maturity and become liquid, and then you would, that could be turned back in and reinvested, and then so it goes back into the cycle again for investment. It's just stacking them.
When we come up with this policy, then we can,
I actually think you should go talk to Todd about this.
okay, well, we can't do anything unless we approve an investment
Yeah,
policy.
I'm with you.
Well, I don't have a problem with the strategy. I do not want to be investment officer.
No, actually, it designates me as.
Yeah, unless you have a CFO.
Right, well, in that case, it would be Patrick here. So,
Got it.
board's responsibility. I guess we would get a monthly report or a quarterly report.
Yeah, it would be the same as what we're getting now. We'll do P&L on it and balance sheet and all that good stuff.
Not less than quarterly and preferably monthly, the investment officer shall prepare and submit to the district board a written report of investment transactions for PIFA 2256.023. I wonder what that is. I don't know that one.
Public funds investment, something or another, I'm sure.
Yeah. Public finance investment account.
There you go. Sounds
I just
good.
made that shit up, so.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I'm open to this. Christy, can you make those changes? So, and ESD4 on the front page, you got that one. And then the second page, investment objectives. If the district chooses to invest, the investment objective is to,
Make money.
invest in appreciable assets.
That's what I said. Oh, that sounded good, okay.
So you want me to make the notion that
Sir.
we approve this policy with the changes made?
Okay, got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I like it. Let's stop losing money. Okay, and you'll be able to print those out for us, and we'll be done. We'll sign when we're done here. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, CAD system, Tyler Tech. Make this quick.
There is a justification one-pager, if you've not already read through it, along with the quote through Tyler Tech, which is the computer automated dispatch system that the county uses. This was previously presented at the previous board. I've asked them to rework it and take off some devices so that it actually decreases our initial cost to $5,775 with an annual recurring cost of $1,600 for 3 device licenses. Those 3 licenses would allow the crews to have at their fingertips basically the dispatch. It would also allow us to pull times, similar to what Pat has been presenting to you. Every month I've been presenting numbers from Medina County Dispatch, but this month I was not able to receive those. For whatever reason, I still have not been able to receive those. With this system, I would be able to pull any times or staff.
In the office or off the vehicle?
Yeah, in the vehicle. So with this proposal, I would ask any of you that are not using your ESD issued iPad, we could use those devices in.
There it is.
I could use it in the truck, and it would stay mounted.
So how many do we have right now that are available? How many ESD iPads do we have? I just turned mine in.
So we have 1, and I need 1 more.
Here. Quit laughing, baby. Shut up.
There you go. And you just have to approve the software.
Okay. Is this something that that's going to help you guys out too? And if so?
So the biggest benefit to Allegiance is by having the computer automated dispatch in the truck at all times, just like San Antonio had or SAPD had. You have ACOG.
They didn't have computers back then. They
will have at their fingertips the ACOG 911 map, which is updated all the time in real time.
Yeah.
So all the crews will have to do is literally push en route, and it automatically maps them directly to. We have noticed consistently that it can take up to 2, 3, 4 minutes before the addresses actually come through for us to verify what dispatch is saying on the radio.
Right.
Because sometimes what it sounds like is not what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes another few minutes to...
So what you just said there is that it will improve response time.
Absolutely.
By approximately 3 to 4 minutes in some cases.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Every single time. And the other thing is by using the 911 map that's done through ACOG, it takes you straight to where 911 was called. It's not like, here's my 100-acre property and there's 5 houses on it. Good luck finding it. It takes you right to where the 911 caller was.
Okay.
So it improves response time drastically. And if there's an issue with the mapping, that's as easy as we get on the phone with ACOG and say, hey, is there an update to the map? This is what happened. We send it to them, and they're obligated by law to fix that or address the issue within a certain amount of time.
We send a device to them?
No.
Okay.
We email, hey.
It's all digital?
Yep.
Right down there. Okay.
Found an issue with this address, with this map.
This is going to give us 2, it'll give us 1 in each unit.
Yes.
and then one for you.
I have my department issued iPad. Actually,
This would be the third license. What do we do? What are we going to do for this peak unit that we're talking about?
so that will be the only other obstacle. But because that unit is not for sure all the time, it's not worth the expense.
Okay, I think we need to establish, if we're going to do something like this, we're going to need to establish some.
Could you use that portable?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know, when it comes to the computers, I'm having a pre-trigger.
Yeah, I mean, if we have an extra iPad, we just buy another license for that device and say, okay, here you go.
Okay. So it's not a huge issue. It would be a cost up front and then annual.
Correct.
And this annual $1,200 or $1,600.
That's for all 3 licenses.
That's for 3 licenses.
Yes,
If
sir.
we advance properly, we'd have that once a month.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Got it right.
And
So the first 5,000, does that include the first year subscription also?
Okay.
yeah, the only other expense I could foresee is if this gets approved, a request to the board to buy some mounts for the iPads in the truck.
So not sliding around.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Go with all the other crap that they've got on the dash.
And the ambulances actually have specific things for the mounts, so we just need to find that brand of mount.
Pat, what say you?
I think it's a great idea.
You guys using Bear County on?
Yes,
Okay. And?
works like charm.
Okay. Do you guys need to hear any more, or do we take a motion on this one?
Yeah.
I'll make it.
Huh?
I'll make it.
Motion to approve. And this would be to approve
The CAD system for the ambulances.
solution number 1. But then we also need to approve some mounts.
Yes, and I don't have a quote for the mounts.
Yeah, that's going to be taken to the amount. What is it, service? Are we already paying for service for these?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that would mean that, what do you anticipate the cost is going to be, the spread, high and low? What's the highest cost it's going to be per mount? What do you anticipate?
Per mount, you're looking at 100, 120.
So we need 3, so that would, you only need 2. Okay, so
I have my own personal mount.
to spend
The amount necessary for the mounting system.
up to $500
Yeah.
for all. Okay, there's a motion.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Make that one.
Appreciate it. Thank you, and the crews and patients of EST4 also. Next on the agenda is still in reference to your iPad devices.
I don't have one anymore.
You still have a bill.
Hey, you got the fiber. Let's discuss the fiber.
Okay, so the fiber is. Nobody works for AT&T, correct? Good, great. I hate AT&T with passion. They are 100% non-responsive. I've tried to deal with this man for our accounts. He is, if you can get a hold of him, less than helpful. I've reached out to his manager, his manager's manager, and their manager. And then I got an email yesterday that we are delinquent on an account for $1,000, but they can't tell me what the account's for, why or where it was going, or why we're delinquent. Talking to Christy, they were sending the bill to Medina County. Medina County, after, 10 months or so, said, hey, this isn't our bill, it's EST4's. And then now we're hit with this delinquent account for $1,000 that's been put in collections.
I don't think so. I think they send it to the wrong people. What is it for?
We don't know.
They can't tell us. Because they don't.
Yeah.
I'm with you, 100%.
We have a fiduciary responsibility to our taxpayers. I'm sorry, sir, you're going to need to give us a detailed report on this.
100%. So,
Can I interject just a moment on that? So last month I was going to bring to it, we actually received a bill in last month's mail, and we were going to discuss it with you at the last meeting, but we postponed it. And the bill is right here because it's got a check. So this is the bill that they currently sent me. When this whole thing took place and it was sent to the county, we've been going back and forth with them as far as what bills went to what. Now that's the 4th bill for fiber. And all it says is fiber.
bill is for $79.
That is the fourth account to our fiber. Yes.
An account to our fiber.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they will.
Accounts now, that's the fourth.
We have 4 accounts for our internet bill, and they will not consolidate them all to one account.
What are the 4?
So
The other 3 that I know, one is there's 2 accounts for the fiber, one for upstairs and one for downstairs. That's the 200 and something. And then the $500 and something is for the 3 phone lines that we have to have here, because 2 of the phone lines go to the fire line system.
it doesn't work. Correct.
So those were the 3 bills that I prepared, and I have a dash account that we can, excuse me, that's why we set up for automatic. That bill came in last month, as well as us going back and forth trying to cancel it, and we were going to bring it to you last month, but then Jason called me today and said that we're in collections.
So,
I mean, seriously, deep dive it and just fix this.
in order
No,
in order for us to get out of AT&T,
which is my recommendation.
there's 4 different accounts. The total for all 4 accounts is $12,120.89. Your options are going to be either A, pay the $12,000 and be done with them and close all of the accounts, or we have to remain with AT&T and we keep making the monthly payments until the terms expire. But the terms do not all expire at the same time. So, there is a screenshot or a printout of the email. And this is the 3rd month that this has been put on the agenda in a row.
Okay, and then let's hear it. Okay, well, I understand, but I'm going to need it. What we're trying to get here is, are we going to cancel them or are we going to keep them? That's where I need to go. I think that we should cancel them, and then we can get first.
Is there any reason that we need to keep this?
No.
My recommendation would be terminate all of it and we'll figure out Wi-Fi.
And then you got, what's the other system? The cell system?
Rock solid.
No, that's the internet.
Starlink.
Okay, then we can get that for $1 nothing.
Right.
Great.
And then we go to FirstNet, which is probably like about $50.
A device.
My phone is $50 a month. Solid figure.
So you would have 3 iPads and my phone.
We cut our bill to nothing.
So it's going to cost us $12,000 to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's going to cost us more than that to stay in this contract, right? And that's all we're going to come up with?
Yeah, I mean, it's in there for up to 36 months.
Some of the contracts just got to be signed in late 23, so you remember all these?
This has been existing forever, huh?
Yeah. Okay, it's good to
Okay. No, which is not, that's not a manufacturing, that's just.
I wholeheartedly agree $12,000 hurts, but at the same time, it solves us a big headache.
But this actually will end, and we own all of the devices. We don't have to worry about ever paying jack wagons again.
So, no. This $12,000 terminates the internet
Fiber.
and the 4 accounts tied to the fiber internet.
Okay.
The devices are another $5,000 to pay off, and then you own them. And then you can take them to FirstNet and do whatever you want.
Okay.
How much would it cost to let them run out?
$12,000.
No, not to pay them off, to finish the contract on each one.
So
Christy, you got numbers?
it's in your, you have a printout of
These
it.
tablets currently was the first one that was done. These are almost paid off. There's like $154 left on these ones, which there's 4, because the other one that's misplaced has already been paid off because we were going to possibly replace it. The one that Jason has and the 3 cell phones
It's actually 4 phones.
Well, 4 phones, yeah, if you include the one that I had, which are the newer ones, which is probably about the 3,000 that's left, because they're just new. But speaking of the AT&T on the AT&T devices, if he needs the phones, put one phone in here because you have to have somebody able to contact here. That's one of the phone lines that's here. So I would keep one cell phone for that to be business phone besides Jason's phone. The other two phones, which is mine and the other phone, you can actually turn into a tablet if you wanted bigger tablets for the CAD systems and give this back to you guys. The whole purpose for these were to bring so we weren't printing.
Still doesn't answer the question.
There's
If you let it run through for the duration of your...
Yeah, so there's 0% interest. We're either going to pay a month, or pay a month, or we're just going to keep making this monthly payment.
But if we keep making monthly payments...
Projected is to do, I think it's right there,
Where...
So we're talking two different things.
early termination fees on all these, so.
No, I understand that,
What's
but,
traffic, anyway, doesn't matter.
so what she's asking is,
Internet.
what would it cost you just to pay to continue the service? She's asking what I'm going with, is that I've got to sit down with Christie and figure out each year what it's going to cost us each year.
It's right here.
That's the payout.
No, MRC is $229. Right now, we're paying $229, $582, there's 229, $582.
The question really is...
There's
are we gonna
800.
get something for our 12,000 or we're just going to write it off?
We pay about $1,100 a month right now for the regular services.
For internet.
For internet, these 4 internet accounts that we have, again, don't know what they are.
Why don't you get Starlink? It's 120 a month.
Yeah, well, they got it, okay, so honestly, they got it before all of this stuff was created, and that only option to get internet here was to bring fiber in here. That was before all this wireless stuff, and this is years ago that they got involved in this.
And then these have been on renewal. So one of them is coming up looks like at the end of this month, and then the next one will be after that, and then the next one will be after that, so they're gonna be cycling through.
We just don't renew them? We don't have to pay them $12,000 or...
They auto-renew. They auto-renew.
And they,
How can they auto-renew? You just cancel.
so, no,
Cancel it, we have to pay the $12,000.
Yes.
because they signed a 3-year contract.
Oh, I see.
Once you have a contract with AT&T, they own your firstborn and your first 3 grandchildren.
I get it.
Been here, done
So
that.
you pay it.
So if we don't pay it and we just let it ride out, they're gonna auto...
Yeah, this $79 a month one looks like it'll reset at the end of this year. And then I'm just projecting out, I'm looking at the numbers on here, and then the next one for 209 will start again, and that's the Wi-Fi account, and then the one after that one will be another $229 a month, it will restart, so.
And then they try to let each device, each of the 3 different contracts pay out. Then they have to take the devices that are covered and the one that just ended and contract with another. And
Christie.
they're going to end up in a similar mess.
These numbers here, these are just for the cell phone, right? That doesn't include the fiber.
I think that's where the confusion is coming. So if I can interject. And so everything that's here for the $12,000 is strictly fiber. Okay, so it's $12,000 to cancel all 4 accounts.
Okay.
The amount here is what it would, which is going to be a little lower because we've already paid these payments. This is what I submitted a couple months ago. This is probably about $4,000 now. You're paying off all of these accounts and you own these devices.
No, they don't win, even if you can prove to...
So I think that's where the confusion is because it's 2 different accounts.
So this is just the fiber, this is the cell phone.
Yeah, cell phones are different, this is just the internet.
This is what it costs us to buy this, the
So
cell phones and everything.
I think we just eliminate this one once and for all, switch over to rock solid, and
And I'm rock solid.
and it's rock solid. And then if we need to buy a broadband router, is there any reason why upstairs can?
No.
So I have Wi-Fi extenders in my house. They cover up to like 4,000 square feet.
Yeah, no, totally.
They're like $100.
They said that the internet, that the tower they would hook up to is over here, they would give us like 50 terabytes of download. They blah, blah, it was crazy, the number.
You need to go to Spectrum cheaper than what you're paying for AT&T. That's what I have in my house is Spectrum.
Yeah, but again, it's what had to be done a million years ago, and we just get stuck in this wheel, and now there's better options out there, and rural broadband is a real thing, and even
I was
the,
gonna say warn about Spectrum, because all the businesses around here got stuck with Spectrum.
No, Rock Solid's free.
Exactly.
Because we're a government entity.
Everybody's got that, was we got phone and internet for a whole day, all the businesses.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
It's down just.
All the city of Hondo, police department, the city of Hondo, they couldn't take calls, they couldn't, their internet was down for a full day. They couldn't do any business, again, just
Okay.
last week.
Okay, gentlemen, do we want to, my sense is, we're gonna have to bite this bullet at some point. And we have a bill of $12,000 to get rid of our internet, and that's, I think that's a separate issue right now, that I don't wanna attack both of them right now. Let's keep it discreet. It's gonna cost us 12 grand to get out of this thing.
Plus the 5,000 for the equipment.
5,000, that's what I think the confusion is everybody's thinking, there's two different AT&Ts.
There's two different AT&Ts. 5,000 is for the cell side. This is $12,000 to get out of our broadband accounts. That's just our internet. That's the bandwidth coming in here. And I understand why we had to do it in the first place years ago, but
There's better options now, and I can work with Dubos for Rock Solid.
how are we on budget for that though? What's our numbers? Is this something we have the ability to absorb?
We do, and in the long run, it's gonna save
It
money.
will absolutely save money in the long run, yes, no question. But do we have the ability to, so we're gonna go from $1,100 a month to zero, so this will pay off in a year.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we give notice. We probably couldn't end it until June 1, because I'm sure it's a 30-day notice to
Then
end.
we can just cancel it as long as it was the 12,000. What I read in the
Are they gonna release the devices so that you can re-register?
No, we're not there yet. This is just for the internet.
Just keep in mind that you
Gotcha.
will use the cell phone service, so we will be getting a phone call from.
No, they're not watching it. It's been dead for
Months.
months.
Yeah.
They told us,
Nobody's contacted me.
yeah, they told us that,
That's another one we need to cancel.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with that said, we'll give them 30 days notice so that I can get with Rock Solid and we can get them scheduled to come in and install.
Okay.
How about the motion would be that we just, effective as soon as possible, we unload, we extricate ourselves from this AT&T broadband contracts.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we end our fiber contract with AT&T, pay them the amount of money that we're gonna owe, might be less than this because we've already made a payment, and move forward with going with another internet provider.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so carried.
Okay, so AT&T fiber is taken care of and been addressed, and I know you guys mentioned, but does device payoff for $5,000, give or take, has been on the agenda for 3 months with no action?
Okay, so the device payoff,
Now,
She
this
said it'd
would
be
mean
less than
all
that.
of the phones, the tablets, everything, we own them. So if we want, we'd have to pay them off, and once we own them, then we could move to FirstNet with a cheaper monthly bill.
okay, and what are we paying monthly right now for AT&T?
$759.43.
$759, that's our cost right now. How many devices do we have?
How many of these are active?
All of them are active except for one.
So right now we're paying $750 a month.
For one and $389 for the next, so $1,000. Two different bills. So the $749 is the ones with the phones and the 2 tablets.
Okay.
And then the other one is just the small tablets. So you owe less than $150 for each of these tablets.
Okay, so the two accounts together, so we've got $759 and what?
$389.
Okay, so we're $1,100, and then that will cut off our service, pay off the $5,000 will cut off the service, pay off the accounts. I'm sorry.
Do you have an updated payoff?
I'm looking at 61 or 51.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it's less than 50.
No,
With it is $4,634.
Okay, it's $4,000. And then we're gonna,
Is that with your purchase
No,
deducted out?
no, mine's off that, that's just.
we're gonna, with that, we reset and we use, we switch over to FirstNet, which is
$50 a month.
$50 a month. That's got priority service on it as well.
Yes.
So our service will actually get better.
Yes.
For $50 a month, and we have 11 devices. That means $550. So we cut our price in half, and that'll pay off, well, it's gonna take a little longer to pay off $4,000.
We won't have to put all 11 devices on it.
Nope.
FirstNet. Because there's
Just one you're
extra phone lines that we won't need.
Okay,
We just need 2 phones and then the tablet.
where are all these extra phones?
Well, we bought them for the ambulances when we were doing our own operation.
And then I had a business phone, and I turned mine in.
Okay,
So we actually have 3 brand new cell phones. Now, once you pay them off, if you want to liquidate them or sell them outright or whatever, you can do that. It's surplus. Or you can try and exchange them, upgrade them to a tablet or whatever you want to do.
okay. Again, I see, right now we're paying $1,100, we'll go down to $550, so there's, you know, 450, yeah, 450, or 550. So we'll save that, we have a $4,000 bill, and this is worst case scenario, if we're doing all 11 line, or all 11 journals, so $4,000 roughly, 550, well, it's gonna, we're at 2 years before we pay that off. Is that right? So we're still getting roughly 2-year payback on that.
I believe, isn't it, FirstNet, $50 per device?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so.
So it would literally be 2 cell phones and 3 tablets.
Actually, no, we're at 10 months.
No, your math is off because you're counting all 11, so it's actually $250.
I'm saying worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So you'd have,
So you're
you'd go from 11 lines to 7.
Again, worst case scenario,
Sure.
and we gotta do 4,550, okay.
And Tony still
8
has
months.
his?
We're less than a year for payback on that one as well.
You still have yours, right?
My iPad, yeah. So we're less than 11 months, or we're less than a year for payback on that as well.
But you can't use them because you're not going to have AT&T service.
No, what we'll do is we're gonna switch over to FirstNet.
You can't switch over until you pay them off.
We pay those off.
We're talking about.
And then we transition over to FirstNet with those same devices, because we'll own those devices outright. So we'll be able to hold those devices, and then we always, that way we'll switch over to FirstNet. We'll have improved service,
Right.
and then,
Cheaper monthly.
yeah. Okay. So that's where we're at, huh?
I can talk on your place, so I don't have any problem.
You can what?
Driving down the hill, you know, I don't lose phone service.
Well, I'm switching over here soon then. Okay. Okay. I'll take a motion on this to
What's the dollar
approve
figure that
the,
you had, 4,000?
$4,683.16.
$4,683.16. I make a motion that we pay this off, these phones and tablets off for $4,683.16.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
And then I don't have any printout or documentation for number 14, which is your bylaws.
You're still working on those, right?
Still working on those. That's, a lot of the work that we're doing right now is informing
Sure.
how the bylaws are gonna look. So that's really what it's gonna come down to. So, as we will continue, I anticipate that we're gonna be working on this for about, another 6 months.
You got it.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna continue to put new things in there, and, okay, that's gonna go, okay.
Would you like me to change that to update on PSD logs? And just make them that way we give a update instead of reviewing stuff?
Do you want it a standing agenda item?
No.
Okay.
You'll bring it up when you're ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try to work on this before we make
It
a,
says you all the information.
Okay.
Numbers who we talked.
Let me hit this real quick so we can bounce folks out. Do you need anything else on that?
No.
You good? Okay, our next regular meeting is on May 14th. I'm gonna go around the room, comments first from the board. Anyone?
I don't have anything, believe it or not.
Time is it? Here it is. Ooh. Okay, from the crowd, the audience, anyone? I appreciate everybody sticking it out. Peggy, always. Huh?
Good job, Bob.
We're gonna, we'll try our best. We'll continue to keep trying and working.
I want to tell Jason what CAD was like when I was dispatching.
We don't want to hear about his story.
I can tell you. I'm not talking to you.
They still have.
You know, so up at Fort Sam, if you go into Fort Sam, you know, the big open air, the fields that are there, there's a barn-looking building, you know, so it's the barn style, and that was originally from World War I, and it was for the carrier pigeon dispatching.
With that said, I make a
Literally,
motion that we
it was a
adjourn.
Oh yes, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Wait, Jerry, you can't go yet. You have to sign this.
I gave you two copies, 2 copies to be signed. So
Thank you, everyone.
And